Hi, I was interested to see another major Oscar release this week, The Whale, the new film by Darren Aronofsky. I've got a bit of an up and down relationship with Aronofsky's films in the past. I was very unimpressed by um, Black Swan and The Fountain, but I really liked Requiem for a Dream and The Wrestler. So, based on the back of the huge acclaim that The Whale has had, I was very excited to see it, and it lived up to all the hype. It's the story of Charlie, a severely overweight man who teaches English classes remotely with the webcam switched off. He's, as I say, extremely overweight and is really only has a few days to live before he's claimed by congestive heart failure. But he wants to do something worthwhile in his last time that he has remaining, and that includes reconciling with his daughter, Ellie, whom having walked out on her and his wife 10 years earlier, when he fell in love with one of the pupils he had in a night school course and moved in with him. It's a very layered, complex film. It's based on the play by Samuel Hunter, who adapts his own script, and the film is confined entirely to the flat in which Charlie lives alone, frequently visited by his friend Liz, who cares for him as a volunteer nurse, although the nature of their exact relationship isn't given away until later in the movie. Ellie comes to visit, and they're also visited by a missionary from New Life, a Christian sect, with whom Charlie again has a relationship that's revealed later in the story. It's a fascinating film. I was thoroughly mesmerized by it throughout, and the nature of what's happening and the nature of the relationships between the characters and their motivations is very skillfully depicted. The script is, I think, a real masterwork in hinting at things, letting the audience draw their own conclusions while still giving you enough information about why people are doing certain things to keep the audience engaged. It's really a masterclass in something that I feel very strongly about, which is that the audience response is the final uh, piece of a film. That the way the audience engages with the film is just as important as any other element in its production. Um, the performances throughout are remarkable. Brendan Fraser as Charlie is astonishing. It's the performance of his lifetime. And as of this recording, he hasn't yet won the Oscar for Best Actor, although I don't doubt that he will. Hong Chau as Liz, I thought was very strong. I've seen her in very little, but she really runs the gamut of emotions in this film. And Sadie Sink as Ellie, who previously I'd only seen in the somewhat low wattage film version of It and Stranger Things, I thought was superb. She is a star in this film, an astonishing actor with a very strong career ahead of her. And Chau and Samantha Morton appears briefly as Ellie's mother in one sequence late in the film. She doesn't have much to do, but you can see the pain of the relationship she's had with Charlie written all over her face. And it's a small performance. It's only a few minutes of screen time, but there is a lifetime there. The nature of the title, I thought, was deliberate. The obvious assumption is that it's an insult aimed at Charlie because of his size, but Charlie is an English teacher, and he cites over and over again the greatest essay he's ever read was one particular one about Moby Dick, and he even has people recite the essay to him, and he recites it to himself when he thinks that he's about to die. Um, the nature of what the white whale is in his life is deliberately ambiguous. His relationship with his partner who has died and the reason for their death is then worked back into the story. His relationship with his daughter, his attempts to try and teach his students something truly worthwhile. It's shown repeatedly that he is a very strong teacher and really is very empathetic. And ultimately, the reason for his obesity, that it is in a sense, a deliberate choice, and that it is a very slow form of suicide. Um, it all feeds back into character. It all feeds back into the character relationships. Its reasons are hinted at, never expressed outright. The audience is expected to do the work of figuring it out and, with their own empathy, make these connections. It's a risky move because I've heard of some people leaving screenings saying, well, why didn't he just lose weight? Which completely misunderstands the movie and human beings in general. Um, the film has been accused of being fat shaming. Obviously, that is a problem in society now, but I honestly don't think that the film is saying anything like that. It's saying specifically, this is this person's life, it's this person's choice. It's not, uh, it shouldn't be seen as some kind of reflection of overweight people in general. I mean, you know, I personally didn't find it insulting, and medically, some would say that I should. But I found it to be a tremendously empathetic and thoughtful and compassionate piece of work. Um, Brilliantly written, remarkably performed, one of the finest films of the year. I recommend it very, very highly indeed.